Hey, it's David. This is the 5 Minute Podcast Review. I haven't delivered an episode for a few weeks now because I've been working on another podcast, which isn't so much that I haven't had the 5 minutes it takes to record one of these episodes, as it is about not having had the hours to listen, to find new podcasts and to listen to at least a few episodes of them before I talk about them. There have been quite a few new podcasts out recently, which I've got lined up on the playlist and have started listening to, and we'll be talking about across the next few episodes. But for this episode, I want to introduce you to the podcast I've been working on the past few months. It's called Use of Force. And for me, this started when a filmmaker friend of mine, Sarah Hatherley, told me about hours and hours of phone calls she'd recorded with an ex-female cop. Now, initially, these recordings were just meant to be private background info that Sarah would use for a crime-based TV series she was developing. But the calls took on a life of their own as one story after another painted a shocking picture of life in the police force from the perspective of a female cop. So, what do you do with hours and hours of very private, sensitive phone calls like this? Well, obviously you make them into a very public podcast, and that's what we did. Though, I should add, we did it with the approval of the female cop involved. So, at this point, let me just play the 2-minute trailer for Use of Force.
So when was the first time you personally experienced corruption with your colleagues on the job once you'd left the academy?
Day one.
Day one, that's quick. Can you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was everything from charging people for offences they didn't commit, not taking action for offences they did commit, lying, being somewhere that you shouldn't have been, drinking on the job.
And this is all day one?
Well, that was day one and pretty much every day.
My name is Sarah Hatherley and I'm a filmmaker. About 18 months ago, I was introduced to an ex-cop and she revealed how her police career had come to a terrifying end. What she told me that first day shocked and disturbed me. It also made me want to share her story. So join me as we embark on an unflinching journey into a world of crime, corruption and the brotherhood, through the eyes of someone who lived it and survived it. Subscribe now for the 6-episode series Use of Force. When we first started talking, these conversations were just going to be used for research for a fictional TV show. And now that Use of Force is a podcast and we've abandoned the safety of fiction, how do you feel about these conversations going out into the world?
My first thought is they'll probably have a hit out on me.
So, the first 4 episodes are up now, and so far no hits have been taken out on any of us, but there are still 2 episodes to go in the 6-part series. Now, as you could hear in the trailer, some of the audio can at times be a bit rough, which just reflects the day-to-day vagaries of the mobile phone network over which most of the conversations were held. But as I said, this is all part of the fact these recordings were never intended for public consumption, much less a polished podcast production. But on the other hand, that's the strength of Use of Force, listening in, eavesdropping on unvarnished insights and conversations about life in the police force from the perspective of a female cop. We've had some great feedback on the first 4 episodes, comments on how many of the themes and issues talked about extend beyond the brotherhood of policing and transcend male-dominated workplaces generally. And we've had some great feedback just on how binge-worthy the series is, which has been really good to hear. But go check out Use of Force for yourself. It's something different, I think. And if you do listen, I'd love to get your feedback. I've put a link on your screen or just search for Use of Force on your podcast player. That's it. I'll see you in the next episode with some fresh podcast recommendations. Thanks for listening.